The Physicians' Health Study examined whether physicians who took aspirin were less likely to have a heart attack than those who took placebo treatment. The table below shows their findings. Based on the data in the table, what conclusions can be drawn about the association between taking aspirin and whether or not a heart attack occurred? Justify your conclusion using the given data. Alright, so I would probably go ahead and just compare the percentage of people who had a heart attack taking the placebo with the percentage of people who had a heart attack taking the aspirin, and see if there's a considerable difference. So 189 people with the placebo got a heart attack out of a total of 11,034 people who were taking the placebo. That gives me a percentage of 1.7% of people with the placebo had a heart attack. Now, the people with aspirin, there were only 104 divided by 11,037 total people who were taking the aspirin, which gives me 0.9%. So 0.9%. So just looking at that information right there, I can see that obviously the total amount of people with the placebo and aspirin were about equal, but there were a lot more people on the placebo that had a heart attack than with aspirin. But then if you want to get the percentages themselves, 1.7% of those taking a placebo had a heart attack versus 0.9% aspirin. That's about half the total, just over half the total. So I would say that there is a definite difference for those taking aspirin versus those not as far as whether a heart attack occurred. So when it says what conclusions can be drawn about the association between taking aspirin and whether or not a heart attack occurred, you can say that taking aspirin reduced your chances of a heart attack from 1.7% to 0.9%. In other words, it's about cut it in half.